recorded.
That's right. You heard her. Welcome to the call, everybody. My name is Tim with the House of Yah community. A very special night. Natasha Jordan's here. Well, and besides Natasha Jordan being here and it being a special night, I know flattery gets me everywhere. Anyway, besides that, we're going to be talking about something tonight we've never talked about before. We're going to be talking about family law. Those of you guys that got people going through divorce, those of you guys that got stuff going on, man, I'm going to pull pants off of this goblet. Natasha, you remember the old Scooby-Doo thing, you know, when they would catch the guy and then we'd have the face and it would always, you know, the mask would stick to his face like super cool and then he would just like take it off. That's what we're going to do tonight without the Scooby-Doo, without the Scooby snacks. We're going to do it without all that, but we're going to do that tonight. And I'm going to show you guys what color underwear Bexar County courts are wearing. That's what did I say that in my outside voice? That's exactly what I said. But before we get started and before we swing the bat tonight, Natasha, warm us up. Tell these guys what's up.
Hey, well, I'd like to thank everybody for taking their time this afternoon to join us. Today is Monday, September the 15th, 2025 already. As a quick disclaimer, we'd always like to say this is for entertainment purposes only. We're not attorneys. We do not provide legal advice. We do not promote drugs or alcohol. We're just here committed to creating a respectful, inclusive space to where you can ask questions that might be going around the internet that you just need some answers to, and we'll do the best ability to answer this for you. And our number one goal is never to harm or offend anybody or hurt their feelings. So as in such, we ask that y'all please be kind with us and you're thoughtful in your interactions as well. So
that's right, man. Well, I want to thank everybody for being here on the call. And those of you guys that are, you know, out there we're trying to help people here tonight. Okay. Don't be a stumbling block. There's no reason to be a stumbling block. Look, and I know there are people somewhere else because the people that do like me are here on this channel and they're not interested they're just not interested. So, you know what? Go write it on a bathroom wall or somewhere. I mean, I'm just telling you, just keep flipping. Anyway, tonight we're going to be diving into something, Natasha, we've never done before. I've stayed out of family law because I've been a victim of family law. Really. You know, I have personally sat in the front seat of my own court cases and watched my children just get taken away for really no reason at all. I mean, some people's went in there and they said, yeah, he's a bad parent. Oh, he's going to be a bad parent. I was like 19, 20 years old. And I had attorneys going in there testifying against me as a witness saying, hey, he's going to be a terrible parent. I mean, who can do that? But see, I didn't know any of the stuff that I know today. And tonight, I'm going to take all this experience, the good, the bad, the ugly. And if my children are watching, I love you. No matter if I don't know you, I still love you. And I haven't seen these kids in over 20 years. And they don't even know who I am. No idea who I am. How could such a thing happen? Doesn't everybody have rights? Yeah. Natasha, I mean, people have rights, right?
yeah.
They have right, free speech. But when do the rights stop? When do they stop? I mean, what, you know, think about it. You remember that story about the little guy, you know, that built that bulldozer in Ohio or something? And he was really mad at the town. He was a welder. He owned a muffler shop and he had this big bulldozer and they called it the killdozer. He went and destroyed like the whole town. He got really pissed off at everybody. Yeah, man. And he built this thing up, man, and fired it up and drove it through the town and destroyed the whole town. And then he ended up falling into a basement into an auto parts store that he was in the middle of demolishing. But anyway, he got stuck in a basement. And when he got stuck in the basement, he offed himself and that was that. But I mean, this guy reached the end of his rope. So when I mean, it seems like freedom is like something that flows like a river, right? Until somebody dams it up. Damn it. And they just, right? And they just stop it. And how does this happen? Why does it happen? You ever thought about that, Natasha?
Well, no, well, actually, a couple of my girlfriends and I were sitting around the table just, talking about TikTok and just, unfortunately with other incidences that happened over the week, and how are we so constrained just with our freedom of speech, on certain things that we can say on TikTok, certain things we can't, how we have to kind of go around certain verbiage that sounds like it, but it can't be that, So, yeah, I'm actually kind of intrigued of like, you know, why? Why do they get
What's
to
the
run over top of us?
and something's changed. But I'm
Yeah.
going to tell you, in the family court system, this hasn't changed. They started taking my kids away from me 20 years ago, 25 years ago it happened. And they're all grown and adults now. All of them are. And I missed everything for no real reason at all. Nothing happened. There was no domestic violence. There was no drug use. There was no rehabs. There was none of that stuff that happened. But yet, I'm going to tell you, fathers go through this every single day, and moms go through it too. This very same thing. And now let's look at another perspective outside of family court. How about ticket court? You ever try to fight a ticket in ticket court? It seems like they want to call for backup, and they bring everybody from the back and bring it on you. And their job, literally, those of you guys that take my travel class, is to convince you that what you did was wrong. Oh, Natasha, you were speeding.
Yes, I was.
We saw you speeding. And at 6 o'clock, I saw half the town impeding traffic. What's your point? Oh, we don't think like that now, do we? That'll get you off TikTok fast. Say stuff like that on TikTok, you're out. That's why I'm off TikTok. But it's true. So when do the rights stop? When does our freedom of speech start and stop? It seems like it's on a Hot Wheels track and it goes and stops and goes and stops. Oh, let's go on a different one. We can say whatever we want over here. You notice that?
Yeah.
You know what it
Well,
is?
I was kind of thinking on the lines of like equity and what are we letting them get away with, as far as that being people to stand up and kind of fight for our rights a little bit.
So in these things, and that's a brilliant thing to say, but the reality is that they contracted your rights away. Every time you get an update from TikTok, we've updated our blah blah blah. Facebook sends you a thing that says we've updated our, and what do you have to say about it? No, I don't want you to. No, I don't want the update. I like the Whopper the way it was, fool. Remember that commercial? No, it's not going to work. Why? Money. This isn't a symphony over here. This is money. I'm talking about money. These people are getting paid. And when I say this, that means what I'm telling you is they're selling our freedoms. My children sold. I mean, sold. These people got paid ridiculous amounts of money. This is how they take a case in family court and they take all of your money and charge you $10,000 for a retainer. Oh my gosh. You know what? The stuff I heard to get divorced. I mean, they wanted your whole 401k plan and everything. Bring it on over here, 40,000. And then there's that other guy that's on, I can't think of his name, but anyway, he's doing a lot of stuff, by the way, and I can't think of his name, and I feel bad for it. But anyway, this guy spent $70,000 just to see his kids, and the dude's got big boy money. I mean, he's got money, and you know what? He can hold his breath. And these are the people that are enduring right now. These are the people, George Saldonado, I believe. I hope I'm saying his last name correctly. Anyway, these are people that are in the ranks right now and they're fighting. I'm one of them too. And we're not very popular. You put an application to go hire a lawyer for something, I will get an immediate turn down through their email like that. because I know how to pull their pants down. I know how to make them accountable. Nobody's going to just take my money and go do whatever they want to. We have a contract. And this is what's happening in family law. We're not understanding contracts. And here's what they're doing, you guys. Using witchcraft, party, all kinds of things, holding you in contempt. I had a guy last year that I spoke with, and oh my gosh, man, poor Brad. And he still isn't right. And that guy spent 2 years in a county jail because he couldn't afford to use the little system that they had for him to talk to his kids. And he just asked a question. Didn't say anything bad. Didn't say he was going to hurt anybody. Nothing like that. Just they put him in a box and said, this is how you're going to perform. And he couldn't do it. And they knew he couldn't do it. And that man's entire life got ruined and destroyed. This is how our family unit is under attack. Really. We're under attack because, ladies and gentlemen, we don't even see it coming. We don't. Because we're walking in the door. No. Those of us walking into Bexar County, we're walking in the door thinking that we're going to get a fair shake. We're thinking that all these people are here to serve the public. You're wrong. Let me tell you something. If your attorney general's offices were just serving the public and only receiving public funding, not, we're going to talk about it in a second, not that or anything else, just public funding, it wouldn't be the biggest building in your city. It wouldn't be the fanciest building in your city. You know how many, the attorney general here in Austin, they have 3 locations. I'm surprised they don't have a drive-through window where they just take your soul. Seriously. But this is what's going on. Why we're having so much trouble in the courts. Oh, wow. So I'm being told that I'm being censored. It says you're frozen and it seems like you're being censored because of the words you're saying. Well, we're going to upload the video, man, so just check it out later. And hey, if you go to Real Results, Real Solutions, now, what's really going on here? What's happening in ticket court? Let's go back to ticket court. Why are these guys so ready? You know what I mean? Like, it's such a setup when you go into ticket court. Because they all act like they're there to help you. And really what they're there to do is to help themselves. There's a kind of funding. Hold on, before I get into that. Have you guys noticed, Natasha, have you noticed that Donald Trump has been talking a lot about family law and courts and child support and alimony and things like that? Have you noticed that?
I haven't been following the news lately.
Well, you're probably smart. But those of us that weren't so smart, and we've been following the news because, you know, we see what that little dude's been running around saying, you know, because, you know, everybody knows he's Elvis. I'm just going to put it out there like that. That's it. Anyway, he is. And he's still shaking his booty for y'all. Anyway, so he has been talking a lot about child support. He's been talking a lot about alimony and putting restrictions on it and all kinds of things. And he's stopping the whole, or his intent is to stop the whole marriage for money thing, you know, because he's got a whole bunch of money and he's afraid all this rich friends are going to get nailed by this. So he's going to pass a law that's going to keep everybody's money and all in the same place so they can stop marrying for money. And now that just sounds crazy, Natasha. Now, wait a minute. Isn't it up to the states to decide this? How does Donald Trump just jump in there and start throwing marshmallows in everybody's cereal in the morning? How does that work? Well, it's because there's something else there. Yeah. See, there's something else there, and there's an element there that people don't talk about. And tonight, We're going to talk about it. It's called Title 4D funding, or Title 4E as in Edward funding. These are both branches from our federal government that come to all of the state courts. So let's take this to the traffic ticket side. So what happens is they run your driver's license. They put a lien on your driver's. They put a lien against your driver's license, because to make any money in this country, you have to start with a lien. That's number one. And if you guys want to learn more about this, take my classes. But I'm going to break it down kind of easy, okay? The first thing they do is they put a lien on your driver's license. Then they make a presentment to you and ask you to come to court. And if you don't come to court, there's a little box that says this is what's going to happen if you don't. Some people see that as a threat. It's not. It's called contracting. And instead of running from that contract, you know, when we like put it on the countertop in the kitchen and we just stare at it. And you walk by for like 4 days and you're like, dang, it hasn't moved yet. You just keep staring at that ticket. Or are you well-organized people that go and put it on your refrigerator so everybody can see it? The first thing your eyes track to is the ticket. It's long. It's this big. You're mad. And you're going through this emotional thing that's going on right now. Let me tell you what you're dealing with. Black magic. What color is the robe that Turkey's wearing? Black. And why would he need to wear a black robe? Doesn't he? Because, I mean, really, Natasha, when you think black, does that show transparency to you?
No, it sounds like you're trying to hide something because you're covering it up.
But these are public officials, and they're here to help us. That can't be right, Natasha. Why would they be wearing concealing robes? Why would they do that? Maybe it's because they're lying to you. Maybe it's because they're there to lie to you. And then they'll tell you on the commercials, oh, you know what? We've told the cops it's okay to lie to everybody because it's part of their job. It's how we catch our criminals. And what does the public say? Okay. And then when they lie to us, they're like, oh, well, they're just doing their job.
So we accept
And you
it.
notice those black suits don't help them either. They're still not transparent, are they? No. And this is what we're missing. It's true. This is what we're missing. So what's happening is that the courts get they get funding. Okay. So if they go and arrest you and they catch you with 100 pounds of cocaine, you ever notice that, like, when they do that, the counties get all excited and they all it's a Kodak moment, and they're all standing next to it like this, and they're making all kinds of faces, right? And they're, look at all these drugs we took off the street. Do you think that picture's for you, Natasha? Do you really think that's for your news benefit? Some of y'all think that it is, but do you think that, Natasha? Do you think they're just showing off? What do you think that's for?
I don't know. I mean, in one hand, I could see whether you think they would show off like, hey, look what we did for y'all. You know, we caught the bad guy, is what I would think at first. Yeah. But
that's the fugazo. That's the fake thing in all this. That is the, you smell that? That's the cops lying to you again. God. So here's what they're really doing, everybody. They're giving public notice of all that cocaine they seized. They're going to split it up amongst their friends, I'm sure. No, I'm kidding. I don't know what they're going to do with it. But anyway, and I don't care. But I mean, never mind. That's another story. But they're going to take all that and they're going to take a big picture of it. Now, what happens when we get public acceptance, Natasha? We have equity.
Yeah.
We can do stuff now. Look, every time somebody screams COVID, everybody wants to go run, put a diaper on their face now. Look, how did that start? The public. The public said it was okay. Didn't they? The stupid public. They need to go back to the trunk. They're dumb. But anyway, that's what they said. And they said it was okay. So when the cops make a big picture and they put it on Facebook, look at all the cocaine we took off the street. That is proof, like a baseball card, like stats on the back of a baseball card, giving public notice for what? Funding. Funding. These guys get federal funding for this, okay? The bigger the bust, the bigger the whatever. You know how they always say that in Hollywood, right? Well, it's the bigger the paycheck. These guys are getting paid. These people in Texas, if you don't drive through Texas with a bunch of cash, because if they think anything, and if they can make up something, they're going to seize it. And they call it civil liability or civil forfeiture is what they call it. And then what happens is they get funding. So if they seize $10,000 from Tim Damron, well, the feds are going to match that funding, and then they get to keep the 10 grand.
But why did they do that? I mean, I understand they got
Because
the
they're getting
equity
the
in.
funding. Because they got this street now. Okay. Write it down just right. Well, then that's civil forfeiture. And civil forfeiture for drug cases, huge. Huge, huge, huge. This is how they're getting paid. Okay. Now we're seeing it there. We saw it in ticket court. We're seeing it in civil forfeiture. I mean, you guys have seen the video about the Marine that got pulled over and he had his life savings with him. He had $50,000 with him. This is a veteran, United States Marine veteran, okay? Taking cash, all of his life savings, and they freaking seized it. It cost him thousands to get it back. For what? Remember what I said? What happens when our rights stop? How does our rights just stop like that? That man has a Fourth Amendment right. He took an oath too. So did the cop. They took an oath under the Fourth Amendment to protect the Fourth Amendment. That means he's safe in his personal stuff. But when does the law stop? When do the rights stop? I haven't even got to family court yet. We're still getting warmed up. When do they stop? When people get paid, man. When people can get paid. So a lot of you guys may not know this, but counties operate on a CAFR. A lot of them do. Small towns operate this way. And they operate on a CAFR system, okay? So what that means is that all the funds that come in are immediately reinvested, okay? And then it goes into a pool, and then the funds are released again for certain budget things. Like we need $18,000 to pay Barney Pfeiffer over there at the courthouse to sweep the patio, whatever. This is the things they do. This is why they have commissioner's courts, funds out of the budget. Why they do this. So you see how the rights get turned on? And now I just showed you how the rights get turned off as soon as somebody gets paid. What happens when somebody sees a criminal charge in this country? No. Forget a criminal charge. What happens when somebody sees a murder charge in this country? He's in trouble. She is in trouble. And you're going to need the Bank of Gibraltar to come in there and fix that. Especially if you didn't do it. It's going to cost you everything. It's going to cost you your career. Don't get blamed for any sex crime or anything like that, because it'll cost you your career there too. And this stuff it's out there to destroy you, okay? Now, here's the part where the Bible kicks in. Our enemy is waiting for us, Natasha. He's waiting for us every single day, okay? He really is. And he's waiting to devour you. He's waiting to steal from you. I don't care if you believe in Yahweh or not. I don't care if you're an atheist or not. You still have an adversary, whether you want to believe it or not. It's going to happen. But there's a bigger machine at play here. Because our officials, And our public officials are selling us out up the river every single day. They are literally charging us and taking people into family court. You know what? People that go, and now we're going to get into family court. People that go into family court, my God, don't you think we might have enough problems already? Really? I mean, the marriage isn't working out. The kids aren't working out. Finances aren't working out. That's the number one reason why people divorce in this country, is because finances aren't working out. But this is why these things happen. And then all of a sudden, they get thrown into a turnbuckle. And these attorneys see you, every one of you, as an opportunity to make money on you. Now, there's a belief out there, Natasha, that talks about like them making money on us. Have you heard that? You heard them like they're reinvesting us and putting us on their bonds and all that. You've heard that before, right?
I don't. If I did, I didn't really pay much.
Oh. Yeah, well, Derek Gonzalez and the pickle guy, Brandon, he likes to talk about that a lot. Oh, they're out there making all this money on you and this and this and this. And here's what they're not seeing. Yes, they're right, but they don't see the vehicle that's parked in the front driveway that's selling the snow cones. And that's Title 4D and Title 4E funding. So what happens is, if you're in a situation where you're ordered to pay child support, okay, they get matched. Ooh, what? Remember I was talking about the civil forfeiture thing? And they match the money? They match the money there too. That's why the Attorney General's office is so beautiful and so well funded. You ever notice that? It's like it's as well funded as the courthouse. My God. Why? Because it's a cash cow. This is literally how they are. This is the door. This is the vehicle that they're using to take your children. They took my children. Okay? Don't go in there. And if you do go in there, put your stuff in trust. Get paper. Look, don't worry about that prenup stuff, man. Put your stuff in trust. That way, if something ever does happen, all of your property is predetermined. Make a plan for your children. Get out of Peter Pan land, you guys. Those of you guys that have been married for 5 years, you're still fighting like holy heck. You know what? Make a plan. Make a plan. Make a contingency plan. Because if you don't, and you don't put it in paper, they're going to look at you like a paycheck. A real paycheck. George, I'm going to pull his last name out there, but he's on my friends list. And this guy got 2 judges sanctioned this week. This week. And I'm going to tell you, here in Texas, I think all that complaining and griping that they did at the judiciary worked, and it should have. I don't know if we've talked about that before, but here in the Texas judiciary, the stats are basically as followed: 94% of all the complaints that come in on judges and attorneys are dismissed. 94%. That means everybody's crazy but them. I think we have some narcissists at the wheel. I really do, Natasha. These people aren't well. And it needs to stop. And I encourage you, if you're in the middle of your family court case, get with someone to help you, okay? And not a lawyer, because they're going to help themselves. They don't give a crap about you. What they care about is going in there and getting paid. And it doesn't matter how much you spend. It doesn't. I saw $50,000. $50,000. And at the time, I had to work really hard to make $50,000, man. And I saw $50,000 disappear. And I had nothing to show for it. including my kids. Why? You know, there's stories that have been broadcast over at the judiciary here in Austin, and they're telling stories of, I've spent more than me, 70,000, 60,000, 30,000, 40,000. What about the people that can't come up with a year's or 2 years worth of wages like that to come and close this thing out? What happens to them? They lose their kids. They lose their rights to be parents. And this is happening to me right now. Right now. It's about to change. But I can't undo what happened before. But here's what I can do. I can tell you how I got there, how it got there, and I can tell you how to fix it. These judges, way too much power. Abusive process. Mm-hmm. They're speaking in a language that we don't understand. I think they have, Natasha. I do. What do you think on all of this stuff? What are your thoughts? And I know I've been like really running. I mean, what do you think about all this so far?
Well,
crazy,
so far,
right?
I think it is. So basically, from what you're telling me is, so if I get pulled over for a ticket, or I want to fight for my children or anything like that, and I go and I hire a lawyer or, you know, somebody that supposedly helps me, or, you know, or a drug seize or something like that. So on the back end, my rights get stopped because they're going to profit from my misfortune.
That's right.
Because of the money.
This is why prisoners die in jail.
Wow.
Yeah. And because they're so busy watching the dollar, they give a crap about you.
They really don't. We're just here as a cash cow, like you said. So in the beginning, you were talking about Trump and the news and stuff. Since I'm not abreast on that, what was he talking about? Stopping the child support and alimony, or reducing it?
No.
Would that
yeah, he's imposing federal laws for alimony and for rules on alimony. And like, that makes no sense, because I mean, that's done in the state courts, right? Well, it is done in the state courts, but it's proof that it's funded through the feds. So they get incentives. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that's okay. So it's just another way that they're going to use us and our rights to make more money, more or less.
Yeah. And the whole bigger plan is really that, you know, these Title 4D funding situations are for people that really need lawyers. So every now and then you'll see somebody from the Texas Attorney General's office. He'll show up and he's going to represent, you know, maybe a single mom, you know, to get child support, to get things and things like that. Well, he's not doing it out of the goodness of his heart. He's doing it because she's low income and she's eligible for 4D funding. And if he represents her, even though it's a conflict of interest, but even if he represents her in the same state court that he works for, which is, again, a conflict of interest, but if he does that and he fights for her, because that's what he's doing, then he gets to fight for himself too. And every dollar that he gets in there, the state gets it right back. Dang it. And you know what? Your traffic tickets were the same way. Domestic violence cases, temporary restraining orders. You ever notice, like, it's so easy for, you know, battered people that have, you know, battered women issues, stuff like that are going on, or domestic violence at home, I guess is a better way, because it could go either way these days. You know, and then you can go down and walk in the door and they got packets and you can file a temporary restraining order, like right off the bat, fill out paperwork and boom, 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 boom. And I mean, and any average Joe can walk in there and do it. Why would they make that so easy, but then make it so hard for you to fight for your ticket?
They make more money on. Do they make more money on one versus the other?
No, they get paid on helping the public. So if the public comes in, fills out the application, and then they need a magical TRO, this is why they'll give them a temporary restraining order for nothing. This happens in family court all the time. They'll give them a temporary restraining order for nothing. No evidence, nothing. Don't care, no due process, don't care. They just, why? Because like I said, your rights stop as soon as funding begins. This is what's happening. And how do we fix this? How do we fix it? Learn to speak their language. You pay attention. You know, inmates, people don't give inmates and potheads enough credit. I'm just going to tell you that now. They really don't. People think that inmates and potheads are the dumbest people in the planet. They really do. And they're really kind of the smartest people in the planet. And here's why. A convict is going to watch everything. A convict will be able to watch his environment and tell you everything that's going on in his environment without even a clock. He could tell you what time stuff's going to happen. That's how good they are. And we're not doing that. We're not watching the system. We're not watching. Well, I am. But a lot of us aren't watching the system because we're just going through it. We're just trying to get divorced. We're just trying to get to see our kids, dads. So how do we fix this? How do we fix this? Well, the first thing you need to do is stop going to the courthouse. You need to stay out of that place. You ever notice that there's no windows in the courtrooms anymore? There used to be back in the day. But then that goes back to that transparency thing again. And this is proof that we just don't have any transparency. So when these arms of funding start coming in, this is when it becomes very difficult. And I think it's where the sovereign movement kind of came into all this, Natasha, because they're just trying to figure stuff out, you know? So they came up with different stuff and whatever else in the courtroom. But ultimately, what they're not watching is they're not watching the bouncing ball. And the bouncing ball is the equity. Who made a presentment, who accepted it, and who's enforcing it. Those are the three variables that you got to really watch for. And in family court, here's what I recommend. And before I get into that, there are so many advocates right now that are just really knocking it dead right now. Dallas Malibu in Bexar County, Texas is killing it right now. And actually, he and I are dealing with the same judge right now. And she's had 19 appeals this year. 19 appeals. That's a lot. I'm hoping it'll be 20. 22, 44. Hike. Anyway, and what happens is that, so I'll give you a scenario, my scenario. So I knew all this. And I knew this was divorce. We filed a parenting plan and we filed standing orders. Well, those standing orders and those parenting plan, that's in place. That's it. But then after I started pushing and I started enforcing things and I started assessing conduct, inappropriate conduct, like TROs, misuses of TROs and things like that, or filing stuff without a bond. That's another thing you need to watch for, you guys that are pro se. Watching your family court cases. Make sure that they have a bond. If they haven't filed a bond, they got no authority unless you give it to them, unless you default and don't say anything. Otherwise, you have what is called a waiver that comes into place. And that waiver will come in place if you say nothing. So you need to understand that family law court and regular court is a game of tit for tat. It's a game for presentment, acceptance, and answering. Okay? And here's the thing. Don't bring up new arguments. I got to tell you, people in the sovereign movement, they're always going in and they talk about everything else but what they're in there for. You know? Speeding tickets are easy, Natasha. I mean, we were talking about earlier, you know, the cop that says, you were driving 64 to 33. Okay. Well, who did I hit? What was the end result of all that? Well, nothing. We just want you to feel bad. Isn't that what it really boils down to? Yeah. That's called witchcraft, everybody. That's witchcraft, right? That's witchcraft right there. We just want you to feel this way. And people walk into ticket court and they're like, I was speedy. I did the wrong thing. And then at 5 o'clock, everybody's going to be impeding traffic at 5 o'clock. I don't see the National Guard being flown in and everybody getting thrown to jail at 5 o'clock because they're all driving under the speed limit. Can I get an amen? Right? That's not fair. Seriously. That's it. I told you we do a little Bible study tonight. Anyway, we're going to throw some of those in there. But I mean, and that's not fair, is it? But then that shows you something. There's a balance in equity. So if you did have that ticket and that speeding ticket, what proof do you have that I was speeding? Because you said so? You can't testify against me as a witness. You're a complainant. Hello? But we're not thinking about that, are we? We're thinking about the emotional side of it. We're thinking of the, you know, you did something wrong, man. Right? That's what they're putting on us. That's witchcraft, man. And they're doing it so they can get paid. Because if they can just get paid real quick, then your child, you know, in Texas, I'm just going to bounce onto this. You know, Natasha, in Texas, if a parent loses his right to his child, they get like $150,000. That means if they can push you over the edge, make you believe that you're a terrible parent, and they can take your kids away, these guys get 150 grand and they split it. What do you think they're back there doing in the judge's quarters? Have you noticed, if you've ever been back there, it looks like a living room in there. They got a bar, they got everything in there. Well, that's so they can hand out all the roles and tell everybody how to act when we go to court. That's why you lose when you go to court, because they've already figured out what they're going to do. And here you are showing up with your special appearance. More like special ed, because they're laughing at you. So how do we beat this? How do we get in front of this? Think like the convict. You watch what they're doing. You watch what they're saying. You pay attention. You go and you study. I knew a guy that was in a situation like that, and he had never been in a jail or anything like that. And these guys are staying up all night long. They're playing dominoes. And I don't know if you guys have ever heard. And I mean, I've kind of heard it, but I don't know. He kind of explained it like they smash dominoes, and I guess it makes a lot of noise or something. And they're shouting out whatever it adds up to or something. I don't know. Anyway, so the game, I guess the game gets exciting. And maybe it's a little bit more exciting there. I think every time I see people play dominoes here, it's like 14, you know, or 25, 18. I mean, they're just like real chill about it. So I don't know, but I guess maybe they get a little bit more excited in there. But anyway, he was telling me, you know, he can't sleep because these guys are staying up all night and they're slamming dominoes and they're screaming and yelling and cussing each other out and everything else. I mean, but it's jail. I mean, what do you expect? God. Anyway, but you know, I guess a few nights of it, he couldn't sleep. So he goes over there and he tells him, hey, man, you guys need to, it's 9 o'clock. Why don't y'all go to bed? We're going to have to get up at 5 in the morning. They've cussed him out, told him go away, threw and everything. He left. Finally, he couldn't take it anymore. He went over there, and I guess there's a key component in that game. It's the big domino that they have, unless y'all got those super duper dominoes. But anyway, the basic dominoes have like the double six, which is the 12 domino. And he went over and grabbed that domino, threw it in the toilet, and flushed it. Well, that just killed the whole game. Yeah, everybody went to bed, but they beat his butt first, and the dude just got beat up. So after about a week of that, he figured out this is not equitable at all. He might end up with a handicapped parking space or something, or a speech impairment or brain damage or something. This is not good. So you know what he did, Natasha? He learned how to play their game. He learned how to play dominoes. I still don't know how to play. But anyway, he learned how to play. And then he just put all those guys to bed every night. He listened. He listened to how they were pumping each other up. He listened to their weaknesses. He listened to what it was going to take to make an opportunity, not find an opportunity, but to make an opportunity to be a winner. And when you're dealing with family court, that's exactly what you got to do. You got to learn this spell. You got to learn what they're doing, okay? And more importantly, you need the discernment to see what their intentions really are. That's hard. That's like watch a table. Seriously, or a blackjack table with all kinds of bets everywhere. I mean, that's hard to do. And that's why they call it family court. This is why they make it difficult. This is why we lose our rights when we walk into these places, because our public officials are being bribed. They have incentives to do this. True story. 6 years ago in October the 16th, it will be 6 years. 6 years ago, I was illegally arrested. I was illegally searched and completely framed. They just made it up. They said I had drugs, which DPS Crime Lab said I didn't. So they couldn't manufacture that. So then they manufactured a drug-free zone. There's no drug-free zone either. But they just kept making these presentments. And the reason they kept doing it, Natasha, well, one is because they hate me. But the other reason is really so they could get the funding. See, once they start those processes and these CAFR counties start doing this stuff, if they unwind any of that stuff, like, hey, why don't they just let you go and just unwind this thing? It's been 6 years. My God, this and that. If they unwind all this stuff, then they got to go back and undo all those lies. Now, all the things that they told to set up the bonds, to set up the complaints, to set up everything, all of the lies that they would have to do, they would have to undo all of that. And this is why people wait years for justice. This is why. Because we got too many, and I'm about to get upset. We got too many people trying to get paid around here when they need to be serving the public, and they need to realize that they're already getting paid. I really commend a lot of the folks that are out there who invited George to be on the call with us tonight. I guess he's not going to be able to make it, but we can do this better. And we can do this better through understanding and education. And I've never done this before, ever. But we're going to do this. We're going to set up some classes for those of you guys going through family law, going through the family court system. And I don't care what state you're in, because they're all getting funded the same way. They're all chasing the same pickle, everybody. Okay? And if you need help, and of course, we can't give you legal advice, but we have resources, and we have paralegals, and we have people that can help you with your paperwork. So if you're having a hard time with this, excuse me, and most people are, and here's why. You're being attacked on every level. Financially, your heart is broken. That's a big part. You don't know how or why. You can't rationalize any of this stuff. It just happened. Whatever, okay? And then you got kids to deal with. Then we got finances to deal with. And a lot of times dads are required to basically pay for 2 houses for this whole process to go through. Why? Because that money coming in, they're going to get funded for it. If they can take it out of your pocketbook, they're going to find a way to get funded for it. This happens. But we can change this. We can change this if we understand what's going on and what's happening. I don't see any questions here at the bottom, but I would be glad to take any questions. Any of you guys have questions about family court? Any of you guys, you know what? We got good people here on the call. I got really good people here on the Uber conference call right now that have been through the fire, that have seen this stuff, man. And here's the more important thing. Not only have we been through the fire, but we're not burnt. I'm not. Yeah, I've seen some bad stuff. I've been through the bad side of courts. I've seen them do some pretty ridiculous things. But we can change that. We can stop it. There's a way to teach the actors how to act. And, I just want to make that available. If you guys have questions about any of this stuff, if you got stuff going on, you need some help. Lawyers won't help you. Guys, if the lawyers are telling you, well, that's just how it is, and the scales are like this, give my office a call. Okay? And let's start here. We'll start with prayer first. Let's pray over that first. Let's pray over that situation. And if you're willing to do that, you know what? I'm willing to take you through the finish line. I'm willing to make sure that you're taken care of and make sure that you have at least understanding as to what's going on, what's happening. We're a nonprofit. We've been around since 2018. I've had wonderful people in my presence to really help me through this process and help me grow through this process. And it was painful. And I paid a lot of dues. I lost children that I'll never see again for this knowledge. But I'm willing to share it. I'm willing to help anybody that I can. And if, before somebody pipes up and says, well, those other children, how is he going to help mine? Well, I've already ran one of her lawyers off, so perhaps the other one will grow some common sense and go out to the field too. But thank you so much for your input as well. And please like and share. I'm going to be reposting this again. So there'll be another link, and I'll be reposting it tonight. So please like and share this, you guys. And if you guys need help of any kind, call my office, 210-605-0144. And we're open Tuesday through Thursday, 10 to 4 p.m. Central Time. So that's Texas time, by the way. So if you guys need help, it's completely free. Not going to charge you a dime for it. And those of you guys that are supporting us, and those of you guys that are supporting us with your donations, thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. This legal battle has been the hardest thing I've ever gone through, the hardest thing I've ever done. And I haven't been able to do it. I wouldn't have been able to do it without y'all's support. So I want to thank all of y'all for everything. Thank y'all so much. And Natasha, thank you so much for being here. You're just amazing. And I so appreciate the balance that you bring to the show. You really do. And thank you. Thank you so much for being here. Would you like to close us out tonight?
Yeah. So first of all, I'd like to thank you, Tim, for bringing all this to light and kind of sharing your experiences and, from the ticket courts to everything, and letting us know how the processes are, but not being angry and knowing that there is a way that we can actually fight back and that you're willing to help us with it. And that's just very, very nice of you to do that. And I'd just like to thank everybody for joining us. I hope that y'all got something out of the show tonight, and everybody be blessed and have a great night.
Good night, everybody. Be well, y'all.